On today's episode of the WNP podcast, stop snaking my guy. Stay tuned. Episode 143 of the We're Not Professionals podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Groshaw. Chase, how are you today?
I am doing swell. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm curious.
Oh.
Your voice doesn't seem like it's been, losing itself at all. Mine, outside of, the sickness, because, I'm down with the sickness, doesn't seem to be going out. We've done a lot of episodes in a row. This is our third day of recording in a row, and then prior to that, we had one on Wednesday too. So 4 days in the last 5.
I think it just means that we're built for this profession.
That could be the case.
We're ready for those daily noon to 3 shows.
Yeah, I'm ready for the big cash that comes along with it too. But joining us today in studio, the one and only Landon Mitchelson, host and creator of the Locker Room podcast. Landon, how are you?
Doing pretty well. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Glad to have you on. And on today's episode of the We're Not Professionals, we are doing My Guys. And so how this is going to work, it's going to be a snake draft, and we are going to be going through up to 5 players that we consider going to be really good players, have great longevity in this league. We're going to put our names and reputation on the line for these certain players in the upcoming NFL draft. And that's something that, Chase, over the past couple of years, you and I have been like, yeah, we're big fans of these guys. We think they're going to succeed and everything, but we never had a My Guys episode to say, hey, we're ready to put our names on the line. We think this guy's going to have success. If it doesn't work out, we look silly and we learn from that. If it does work out, we get to brag about it even more than what we have.
Yes.
Just because we are actually now, clamping or stamping our name and signature on this guy. So it's going to be a good episode. I just want to say, though, for both of you, if for some reason, we're taking each other's guys and you don't have anyone left on your list, don't feel compelled to bring up a new My Guy, So I've got 9 guys on my list out of this draft class that I absolutely adore. If you guys happen to take 5 of them during this process, I'm not coming up with a new one because I don't believe in other players as much as I do these guys.
Right. No, so, I agree. That's kind of what I'm going with. And, there's maybe a name or two I left off of my also list of 9 that I could talk about, but that's not enough of faith where I'm going to do that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make that clear. If you're not confident in the guy, then don't even bring him up. So how this is going to work, we're going to go snake draft. We'll let the guests go first, Landon, and then co-host will go second. I'll get 3 and 4, and we'll continue on like that. So,
Bam.
Landon, let's start off right away. Your number 1 My Guy. Who is a guy that you absolutely love? You think longevity in the NFL, high-end talent. This is a guy who's going to be a home run pick.
This is a guy who's been heavily flown under the radar that I have not seen going in the first round that I do think could potentially go in the first round. And that is going to be Kirby Joseph out of Illinois, 6'1", 203. When I see this guy, I see a modern-day NFL safety, a lot of comparison to Justin Simmons. He is a NFL safety through and through. He has a great ball-hawking ability, which I do highly acknowledge in my safeties, which I really do love. He is extremely reliable tackler, which is also very important when it comes to the safety position. And not only that, his change of direction is very good as well. My only negative and question about him is his sideline to sideline range, and he's more of a, how do I say this, not really a single high safety guy. He needs to be in a more 2 safety shell, kind of like Justin Simmons was over with Vic Fangio's system. I think that's where he could succeed the best.
Gotcha. Chase, any thoughts on Kirby Joseph?
Yeah, it's not a guy I got a whole lot on, to be honest, so I'm going to take your word for it. Not someone I can obviously stake my reputation on, where I have him ranked and with the amount of film analysis that I did on him. So it's someone that's going to warrant another look, and so I can kind of, develop a better opinion on him.
I agree, and I'm super excited that the very first name right off the bat Chase and I, not too familiar with them to be able to say we disagree or we absolutely agree. So it's nice. You're bringing out names that not a lot of people know, and staking your reputation on a guy who might be a third, fourth rounder is a lot of high praise. So that's really cool from you. Chase, let's now go with your first My Guy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so a couple ways you can go here. I could go right away and take someone that I think is going to be a day 3 guy that can hit, or I can go with the guy who I know I have significantly higher than every single other person that has done any sort of big board. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my guy, George Pickens, who I firmly believe will be the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class, and it won't be particularly close. I think he's bound to be a top 10 receiver in the NFL for years to come. The way he just wins at the football, he's a physical receiver who has strong athleticism. It's if AJ Green was a stud athlete, it's George Pickens. It's the exact kind of guy he is. And if you can have that on the field and he can win in the ways that he does and win in the various amount of ways that he does, that's an exciting tool to have. So I am ready to stake all my reputation on George Pickens.
From a guy who's flown under the radar of Kirby to now a guy that I think all three of us agree, George Pickens, we're in that same boat. You had him as your wide receiver 1.
Number 1 on this list right now for offense.
Yeah, he's my wide receiver 2. We all absolutely love George Pickens, and I'm glad that he's actually getting some recognition now, because I think it was Trevor Sikkema came out yesterday on Twitter and said, 3 years down the line, if George Pickens is the number 1 wide receiver out of this class, no shock whatsoever from me. He's got all the tools in the world.
Yeah, Trevor Sikkema's a smart guy too, so trust him and trust me.
Yeah, the speed for his size is absolutely ridiculous. This guy's a freak athlete. And I've seen a lot of comparison to DK Metcalf, and I can see it, but the only thing is that George Pickens has hands. George Pickens. And you said AJ Green. I have wrote down, underlined, similar to a prime AJ Green.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar, and I love George Pickens, but there is another receiver that I do have above him.
Ooh, and I think we were talking about in the wide receiver episode that we could see kind of a similar match with AJ Green's size, body, body control even on the field, and then the athleticism of a Julio Jones. Kind of a mesh of the two.
I have that written down too, Julio.
Yeah, so a really fun player to look at. You went the guy you have significantly higher than everyone. You went the guy who was going under the radar. I'm going to go the guy that I just love the most, and I think no matter what scheme he goes to, I'm willing to put everything on him. And that's going to be George Karloftis out of Purdue. You guys know that I'm a big fan of him. The thing that I love so much about him is the intangibles of this guy. Does he have the best stats? No. But he does get a lot of pressures in the backfield. He seems like such a great guy in all the interviews I've watched with him. He's super young, only 21 years old. This is a guy that I think is going to latch on to a defensive scheme, and the defensive coordinator and the head coach are going to absolutely fall in love with this guy, because he's going to be able to bring in all of the information that they are feeding him and just be able to excel and put that on the field at the next level. So do I think he's going to be, a 15 sack guy at the next level for the next 8 years? No. But I think very likely he is going to be a very good starter at the next level for at least 10 years. And he's going to be a great run-stopping, edge-setting defensive lineman. And can he put up 8 sacks a season, maybe even get to that 10 mark? I think absolutely. This is a guy that I absolutely love.
Yeah, that's fair. Even though he's someone I'm not as high on as, some people, especially you, still a guy that is, a for sure locked and loaded first-round pick, in my opinion. And I can really appreciate his motor, his work ethic. It really is something, that I think if he did come to the Lions, for example, even though I would think there's probably better players available, I would be excited for it, because he has that Dan Campbell type of work ethic where he's just gonna bust his ass, play dirty, bite your kneecaps, come back up, keep going. That's how Karloftis plays, and it's exciting for sure. So I can respect it.
Yep, you said things about his motor, and that really, to me, compares him to other guys, who is one of my favorite players, Max Crosby. They just keep going. They keep putting in work. As Max Crosby is always the first guy in the building, last guy out, Karloftis has that motor, and he's even very athletic on the field. He can definitely progress into a very solid NFL starter. But I do like that comparison to Max Crosby with that motor and how he can has this drive and just wants to continue to get better.
And I think that's going to see something you guys will see continues with my list. It's the intangibles, kind of the mindset and how hard you go day in and day out. Also, Karloftis just turned 21 years old 3 weeks ago. So happy belated birthday to Yotis. Love that guy. Let's now move on to my number 2 guy. And before Karloftis came up, I said this guy was my favorite player in the class. It is Ikikwanu. I'm sure Chase probably has him on his list. Another intangible guy because he goes hard until the whistle. Like, he will not stop. He is going to finish. I think he's going to be an amazing tackle. If a team wants to throw him into guard, he's going to be the best guard in the league. Yes, up there with Quentin Nelson. I think this guy's got so much going for him. He does need some help in the technical area of pass protection. Is he in a terrible position right now going into the league? No. But this is going to be a guy for the next 10 years, is going to be a dominant force. And again, like I said, intangibles, he's going hard until the whistle.
His very likely projectable ceiling to me is a top 10 tackle in the league, and his absolute ceiling is just the best offensive tackle in the league. I am 100% in on Ikikwanu here. I think he's got all the right tools to become that dude in the NFL. And again, if you do move him to guard, I've been really pushing for him to either go 1 or 3 because I think it makes more sense for both the Jags and the Texans to take him there. If he does go there and he has to play guard to start, he's just going to dominate. It's not going to be very fair. He really is a special prospect. And going into the whole scouting process, I thought for sure I was going to have Evan Neal as my number 1. So I was very surprised and excited that Ikikwanu jumped off the page like it did to me.
Mm-hmm.
Ikikwanu, you guys do have him a bit higher than me, but that's just because I like Evan Neal a lot more. But with Ikikwanu, one of the biggest things that I love with him is how versatile he is, and I think that is really important with good offensive linemen is being able to not only play one position, but being able to fill that position of need for your team and be that team player to really impact your team and get your team wins and protect your quarterback. He's very athletic. I think his technique could use some work. He can get up there. That's why I have Evan Neal higher. I have Evan Neal higher because I think that his technique has a higher ceiling. But Ikikwanu, hell of a player. I love him so much, and I just think that he is easily a top 10 player in this draft, no doubt, and I just love his versatility.
Yeah, and I agree with the versatility part. You and I talked about it on Friday's episode that Zach Tom is a guy who's skyrocketing up the boards because he's played every single offensive line position in college. All right. Chase, you are now up. The second pick in the second round and your second overall pick. Oh, how about that?
Yeah, I am going to go offensive tackle. And I said let's wait on Zach Tom because there's a chance he appears on my list. We're gonna see here. So that's why I want to wait a little bit, but it's not right now.
Okay. So who's this offensive tackle then?
It is Minnesota's offensive tackle, Daniel Fellaiwe, who I am extremely high on. I have learned that I am about the highest person you're ever going to find on Daniel Fellaiwe. I think he is immediate starter in the NFL, locked and loaded, top 5 right tackle in the league type potential. He has, very unique size. That's 6'8", 6'9", 380 pounds. He's really about in that range.
Small guy.
Yeah. Very, very, very tiny. And he's you can't move him, especially in the run game when he's setting in his run block and he's got to shift a little bit too, whether it's, if it's a zone run or whatever's going on. He's just that dude in the run game. He's quite special. If a team that really focuses on the run, like the Titans, for example, if they drafted a Daniel Fellaiwe, I think you'd see Derrick Henry rush for 2,000 yards for another 3 seasons. Like that's the kind of impact this guy's going to have on your offensive line. He is, in my opinion, very special. I know he's looked at as more of maybe a first rounder, second round pick type guy, but I would take him locked and loaded top half of the first round.
Yeah, but I like him as a run blocker. It's very similar with me. I love Alex Leatherwood as a run blocker, but I do have concerns with him in the pass blocking game, which is why I am not as high on him as you are. And when I see that, I feel like a bigger importance of offensive linemen is being able to pass protect just because of the way the game is changing and how much there is passing now and how quarterbacks are trying to throw 50 passes a game. I mean, you need to have one guy who is a hell of a pass blocker, and I do think that he is more of a run blocking guy like Alex Leatherwood, so that's why I'm not as high on him as you.
You see, this is where I disagree with the both of you guys. I like Daniel Fellaiwe a lot too. Definitely not as high as Chase, but Daniel Fellaiwe to be a part of my guy, he would need to be scheme versatile. I feel like when it comes to like outside zone runs, he's got good athleticism, but does he have the balance and zone athleticism to go on swing blocks and to be going up the field, 15 yards, making those plays? I don't know if he does. I also think he's got a lot better pass protection than you guys do, just because he's really good at mirroring the defender, and he's just a wall. Like, no power moves are going to work against him because he's giant. No finesse moves are going to work against him because his feet are quick enough at that size and how long his arms are. So I actually like him better as a pass protection guy than a run blocking guy. But again, that comes down to scheme. If it's just like, inside runs, the guy's going to bully whoever's against him. But when it comes to the versatility of doing outside zone and all of that, I do get a little bit worried with him.
Let's put it this way. I am going to safely ensure all listeners here that Daniel Fellaiwe, through his first rookie contract, will grade out, if you want to look at PFF grades, because they're the best when it comes to offensive linemen for sure. He will grade out as a top 5 run protector in the league, as well as a top 10 to 15 at worst pass protector in the league. Calling it right now.
All right.
Planting that flag.
I like it. It's good to go with the bold takes with my guys, because that just shows how confident you are in them. Let's go to your second guy, Landon, rounding out the second round here.
All right. Well, there's a reason I'm wearing the Florida hat today.
Uh-oh.
Because I have 2 Florida guys on this list.
Ooh.
But I don't know if I'm going to take both of them, but I'm for sure taking one of them. And correct me if I'm pronouncing this right. Kaiir Elam.
I believe that's correct.
All right. Out of Florida, the cornerback. He's 6'2", 196. When I see him, I see phenomenal coverage. I think he's top tier in this draft when it comes to coverage. Right up there with Ahmad Gardner. His coverage is just insane. The reason he is not in my top corners, really, he's my number 4. Reason he's not up there with Ahmad Gardner is because he is not the best tackler. His tackling does need some work, but I do have him in my guys because his coverage is absolutely phenomenal. So if this guy can get the right scheme and work on his tackling just to get it to manageable, because right now it is not manageable. If he can get it to manageable, he can be a very solid corner for some NFL teams. And I can see a team like Arizona or Dallas going out to get him to be a very, very solid NFL corner.
Interesting. I don't think he's bad by any means. I've got him as a mid to late day 2 type of guy, someone that I think is going to have an impact in the NFL. And if you're going to take him in the first round, fine, I'm not going to be mad at you. But I just think there's better options. I think he can be a pretty solid coverage guy. I don't see him as anything more than a team's respectable number 2 in my opinion, though.
Yeah. So I think when we were going over our DBs, Chase, you had him at your number 12 defensive back.
Yeah. Something about that.
I've got him as my number 8. I like Kaiir Elam a lot. The size, also how physical he is in like a press man coverage. I do like that as well. But like you said, tackling's a little bit of an issue. Also, I don't think he's super quick. Like if he's got to go up against the guys like Jamar Chase or Tyreek Hill, I think he's going to struggle. And he also likes to take risks sometimes, go for that interception when it's not necessarily there. But I still think he's good. I would be okay if the Bengals were to take him at 31, but I'm not as sold as you are. But that's what's great about my guys, because we all have different opinions. We stake our flags in certain players, and then we can look back on it in 3-4 years and see who's really the smartest when it comes to this draft class, at least. So I like the pick out of you. Let's now go to your third pick here.
I am going to take a quarterback on this list, and it's not really one that's getting recognized because I looked at this guy's stats, and sure, stats not everything, but this guy's stats is absolutely ridiculous. Bailey Zappy out of Western Kentucky.
The career backup.
No. We'll see when the Lions take him in the second round.
That would be the worst case scenario.
34?
All right, I will quit being a Lions fan.
He's 6'1", 220. He is built kind of like Mac Jones. Not really full muscle, but he's more of a beefier guy.
A little flabby.
A little chubber.
Well, yeah. But he threw for 5,967 yards. College football record. I looked it up. 62 touchdowns. I believe that is another record. Only 11 interception. Has 69% completion rate.
Nice.
He is a very solid quarterback in my eyes. He shows plays where he can explore out of the pocket and make throws. That's my number one thing with quarterbacks, is being able to extend the play. And especially for his size, I think that he is very good at doing that. His accuracy could use some work, as well as his arm strength. But what he did from when he was transferred to Western Kentucky, if he can get in that same system, he can be an absolute stud in this draft and in this league.
See, here's my thing. When you hear about those amount of yards thrown, and you hear about the completion percentage, you're like, okay, he has thrown a lot of balls. Because that's not like it. If he was throwing at a 78 completion percentage, then he's doing all worldly things. When you throw 686 balls on the season, you're bound to rack up the yards. And I don't think Bailey Zappy is a bad quarterback by any means. I think he's going to be an NFLer. I just don't really see much of a ceiling, because I don't really see anything elite that he does in my eyes. I think he's a solid distributor of the ball. Reads defenses solidly, doesn't really make mistakes, but he doesn't really do anything that's going to put your offense over the top. So I mostly see him as a guy, maybe one of the better backups in the league, but is he ever going to be able to be like a long-term starter for you? I don't know.
Landon said he's a very good quarterback. I absolutely agree. I would even say great quarterback at the Division II college football ranks. This is the one that I will plant my flag in the opposite direction. I agree. I just don't see a ceiling. Agree with you, Chase. I have down here for all my notes on Bailey Zappy: okay mobility and arm, inconsistent deep accuracy, pocket awareness can often be tardy, reads defenses well, and finds the open man. So out of all of that, I would say 65 to 70% of it was negative. So, look, I think he's a smart guy. I think he can read the defense well. I think in the right system and picking up a playbook, he can come in and be, a starter for 6-7 games when their real starter goes out. But as a true starter, maybe for like 2 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
All right, Chase.
Okay, I thought there's going to be more than that.
All right, Chase. We're coming up here on your third pick in the third round, and it's the 8th overall pick. And I just want to see like that. Is that what you were?
That's what I was looking for.
Okay, cool,
beautiful. Thank you for doing that.
No problem.
I'm going to go 3 for 3 on offensive players because I have found that I'm a big fan of this offensive side of the draft. There's a lot of defense that I like, but not necessarily as I'm fully ready to plant the flag on. So I'm going to have to go with running back out of South Dakota State, Pierre Strong Jr., someone that just, wow, did he jump off the page when I watched him. He had Division I offers, chose to go the FCS route because he just, I don't know, he wasn't a big fan of the FBS offers, thought that South Dakota State was a better fit. Kind of worked out for him because he went and dominated pretty much since stepping onto campus as a freshman, and has showed out as one of the best college running backs over the last few years, or the last 4 years, I think is what he was starting for. And really, I kind of see everything in Pierre Strong's game. He's 5'11", 205, so he's not some big bruising back, but he's someone that I can see in early down situations just because he's got enough patience and explosiveness. You can see him on third downs because he's solid enough, in the pass catching game. He isn't some, other worldly blocker. You haven't really seen a whole lot of it, but he does show the ability, doing what the hell's we're looking for? Like check down throws. Like he's available in check down throws. He's available more downfield. And from what I've seen, he's at least a willing blocker. So as long as you're a willing blocker at the running back position, you can prove on it a little bit. He's someone that has not the same type of player, but an Alvin Kamara type of upside. Whereas, he goes in probably the 3rd, 4th round and ends up being someone who is a borderline Pro Bowler year in, year out.
I love Pierre Strong a lot. I did have him on my list. I was going to
take him, but look at that.
But he's extremely fast. I think that he is very fast for his position, and compared to the other NFL guys, ran a 4.37. He has great change of direction. He is very good at cutting, on a one cut up the field. He's very good in open field, which is what I love about him. And an interesting stat, he was actually tied with Kenneth Walker for most breakaway runs this year in college football, so that's very nice. I do see him more in type of a zone run scheme. And I do think that where he can fit best is, for example, a team that needs a running back down in Miami with Mike McDaniel. I do think that could be a very, very good spot for Pierre Strong to land.
I agree. I think that'd be a great spot. Mike McDaniel's coming over from that Shanahan system, so could do a lot of work over there. Pierre Strong, I'm a fan of. I don't have him in my top 6 of running backs, but he is in that 6 to 10 range. I like the intangibles and, the things that he does on the field. He dominated the Shrine Bowl, which was something that I think a lot of people, it kind of made them open their eyes. Like, wow, he did really good here at the Shrine Bowl. Maybe we should go back and take a peek at his tape again because maybe we were missing something the first time we took a look at him. So I think he's got good upside. I just don't know if I could see him being a 3-down running back at the next level and having that like super high end ceiling. So I like him, and I think a flyer, if he goes to a right team in like a dynasty league, would be amazing. Take him in the end of the first, late second round could be awesome. But again, I think it relies on situation and who's in front of him.
Yeah, that's fair. If he goes to a team where he's not going to have a fair shake from the beginning, as you see with a lot of running backs, then that's kind of the end of your career. The second you get drafted, some running backs, their careers are done. So as long as he goes to that right situation, he gets even the slightest opportunity, I think he's going to run away with it.
Yeah, it stinks with the guy that went to Green Bay last year that you and I were both super high on. Kylan Hill, that's right. So, and I mentioned it that I think Ty Chandler and Rashad White both kind of remind me a little bit of Kylan Hill. So those are guys I'm also keeping an eye on. However, they are not guys I'm planting my flag in. I'm going to go back-to-back intangible guys again. My first two picks were easily first rounders. I've seen Karloftis slip out of the first round in a couple of mocks. I don't think that's going to be the case, but these guys I'm going to talk about, not first rounders. Like, I don't think there's a chance they're in the first round. If they do, all the better. But let's start off with Chad Muma, linebacker out of Wyoming. This is a guy that I absolutely love. He's my third linebacker overall. I think that his ceiling maybe not as high, but I think he's going to be a guy who comes in, works right away. He's going to be a guy who can rack up 90 to 120 tackles in the league. Going to be a good middle linebacker that can cover. I don't think he's a great blitzing linebacker, but he reminds me a lot of Logan Wilson, and I'm a huge fan of Logan Wilson. So with the athleticism he has, the size he has, and just the smarts, the way he works on the field, I think he's going to come in, be a captain in year 2. This is a guy I'm all over.
Yeah, I like Chad Muma. I could see a situation where he ends up going first round because I've kind of heard a little more rumblings where that may happen. Not likely, but there's a chance. But he is a guy that I think is very well worth an early day 2 selection, someone that can come in and be a pretty much day 1 impact guy, just kind of that all-purpose linebacker, someone that I would trust in almost any situation. So I can get behind this.
Yeah, this is definitely a guy that I would like to see the Raiders take because, as you said, he is a leader. He is a field general that I see in him. He can make tackles. His pass coverage is a little shaky, but that can definitely get worked on. I do think that he can be a very, very solid starting linebacker for a team if they need that position. For example, the Raiders, that he could definitely fit in that system. And I do think that it could work well because I do love his run-stopping ability and his leadership. His leadership is definitely one of the biggest things that I love about him, probably number 1.
So I said back-to-back intangible guys that aren't likely to be first-rounders, started with Chad Muma. Let's now head over to Stanford and talk about Thomas Booker. More of a 3 technique at defensive tackle, I believe. I know some people have had him at edge. I don't know if I'd go there. But this is a guy who, again, when it comes to being a captain and picking up playbooks, this is a guy I want. I talked about it on our defensive line episode that Brett Coleman did an interview with him, a good 30, 40-minute interview, and it's incredible what this guy talked about. He talked about how Landon Dickerson, who was a very high center graded in both of our systems last year, he would disguise snap counts and disguise those type of things. And he picked up on these and was able to jump counts and stuff like that. So Thomas Booker, incredibly intelligent, but also a very good athlete. So I'm very excited to see what he can do at the next level. I don't think he's ever going to be an Aaron Donald type superstar, but I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be in the league for a long time. He's going to be a captain. He's going to pick up on stuff super easily and continue to mentor younger talents that might have higher ceilings. So this is a guy who I think the longevity super easily for me to say is absolutely there.
Yeah. What really shocks me is that he's not necessarily a tall guy for a D lineman. He's 6'3", but if you want to see his strength and you look at him, you would not know that this guy is 301 pounds.
Right.
Which is absolutely awesome. And when it comes to his game, I think he is very good. He, as you said, the captains, he has been a 3-year starter there. Good lower body thickness. He has good punch in his hands, which is what you love to see out of D linemen. He's very lateral with his feet. He knows how do I say this? Uses good technique at the D lineman position. But when I look at his stats, I do count stats into draft profiles. Yeah. 2 sacks in his last 18 games, not necessarily the best things. And then I also seen that he is struggling when it comes to finishing. So that is one thing that I do have to take account when I look at him.
Mm-hmm. Not going to lie to you. Not a guy I did a lot of due diligence on. My D tackles were probably interior D line technically is probably the least scouted position that I did of all of these positions because, I already kind of knew who some of my top guys were. So when it came to the later guys, I didn't do much due diligence. So I can't really confidently speak one way or the other on this kid.
Right. And Landon brings up a lot of points why I think he's going to be, a third round, maybe even dip into day 3 type of guy because there are issues with his game right now. But he's one of those guys that is going to be just like Aiden Hutchinson. How Aiden Hutchinson came into Michigan's campus this offseason and said, hey, burn me out every single day. I want to come in and become a better person, a better player every single day. That's what Thomas Booker is going to be at the next level too. So very excited to see what he can do. Chase, you are now up with your, what is this, 4th pick?
This is my 4th pick. We are rolling through this, which is good, though. I think we're having good conversations here. But my 4th pick, I'm finally switching to the defensive side. Going with another early round guy, Jermaine Johnson, edge rusher, Florida State. I've as the days have gone on, and the more and more I've read, and I've been inclined to watch a little more film, and the more and more I'm convincing myself that if the Lions were going to get really bold and take him at 2, I don't know how mad I would be. To be honest, I think I would be kind of interested. That would show that the Detroit Lions, they have that faith in him. I've seen a couple mock drafts actually have him go there, with Aiden Hutchinson going 1, then him going 2. So if that were to happen, I think he kind of does, those things that Dan Campbell wants. I think he's going to come in and be a stud on the defense from day 1, a guy who can get you 10 sacks as a rookie. I think he's got that type of potential. He's just an absolute fiend on the field. I am a big fan of Jermaine Johnson. His size at 6'5", about 250, 55 pounds. That allows him to have a nice combination of true athleticism on top of some power that I can, really see him win with. I just think he can be quite a special player, and I think he is scheme versatile too. So even if he doesn't go to the Lions, he can go somewhere. He can play edge, he can play outside linebacker. He can kind of do whatever you need him to do. I think he's going to be pretty special.
If you look at him, 6'5", 254, he ran a 6'5", 840. That just proves how much of an athlete he is.
4.58.
Oh, yeah.
6'5" would be like,
the slowest 40 in combine history.
Never mind. Chase is bailing.
6'5", ran a 4.5, 840. That just proves his athleticism. When I watched him on tape, I saw a lot of Khalil Mack when he's rushing because the way he uses his hands to push defenders back to get to the quarterback, that is what I saw a lot with Khalil Mack when he was with the Raiders. He's a very explosive guy off the edge, like you said. He times up block sheds. That's very important. He knows when to block shed. He's very good on his timing, and he's even very effective when he's chasing down a runner. I think that is very important when it comes to him. And I think the only really negative that I have with him is that he's kind of inconsistent with his mesh points, in my opinion. So that is one thing that I do have to take down on him. But overall, he's a freak athlete and easily a top 20 player on my draft board.
Yeah, and I think over the last week or two, kind of like you, Chase, he has impressed me a little bit more. Doing a little bit more stuff with him and doing the mock drafts and stuff helps too because you got to know your guys down pat. So I do like Jermaine Johnson a little bit more. I'm still not putting him above George Karloftis just because that's my boy. And I think that I still have the issue where at times he can be too steppy, and then also where is it here?
I don't know. Where is it here?
I think he's very good technically sound. I think he's going to make a day 1 impact. But the two-steppiness, and then there was also something I had written down about him. I'll get back to it if I can remember it. But I'm a little bit shocked because on our mock draft that came out on Monday, if you haven't watched that, make sure to go do that. We talked about how you were not a fan of the Trayvon Walker pick. And now you're saying you'd be okay with Jermaine Johnson at 2. That's
I've got Jermaine Johnson above Trayvon Walker.
I know you do, but that's like bold across all communities. And
yes, it is.
So
indeed, it is.
Why do you have him above Trayvon Walker?
The proven production. I really, it's not. I'm never really say it's Trayvon Walker's fault because it is kind of the way Georgia plays. It's just too much waiting and reacting in terms of just going there and just dominating and winning. So I wish they could have played a little more that way, and I think Trayvon Walker could have had more success, and he very well could do that in the NFL. But as of right now, I've seen it from Jermaine Johnson. I haven't seen it enough from Trayvon Walker.
Fair enough.
What else? The other things I was going to gripe on Jermaine Johnson about is still not super impressed with his bend. I think that's part of the reason why he's two-steppy, because at times he can't get underneath and around the offensive lineman as quick. So the ceiling, I question a little bit, but I think day one he's going to come in and make an impact. So
I got faith in the last chance, you boy.
That's why he's on your list.
No, it is a cool part of the story, though.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to Landon. You got your last 2 picks here.
Last 2, I'm going to take off of a guy that I know you guys are not as high on that I am.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think you already know who's coming here because this is a Georgia player who I think is a top 3 player in this draft without a doubt. That is going to be Nakobi Dean out of Georgia. Ran a 4.52. Sure, the one thing that I do have against him is he's a little short. It's one thing, but he makes up for it in his weight, weighing 229 of pure muscle. 4.52, very good. Very good in pass coverage. I think he's an amazing tackler in block shedding, and he's even not fearless. He will run up, and he will pound through offensive linemen to go make that tackle. That is what I love about him. He has that motor. And then he's also kind of effective in the pass rush game, which I think is very important when it comes all around to linebackers, is they need to be able to blitz, and I do see that with him. When you're looking at linebackers, you get 2 types of linebackers, normally what I see when I'm in the draft looking at film. You get athletic freaks who get to the play, but they don't not diagnose the play. But then you have guys who aren't as athletic freaks, but they diagnose the play. I see both of those in Nakobi Dean, and I think that is very effective and very important when it comes to the linebacker position, and that is why I have him as my number 3 player in the draft.
Yeah, I think he's far from a bad player by any means. I've got him as a first-round grade, my 22nd ranked player in the draft. I think he's got that talent. I think he can have success. I'm not at the point where, just based on the big board to be my number 3 guy. I can't get to that. I don't think he's even close to a locked and loaded top 5 linebacker in the league. I think he's someone that can come in, make a nice impact and be a good starting linebacker for you. But I don't know what his true ceiling is. I think there is potential there, but I don't know how high he's going to reach.
I will bet you that he wins defensive rookie of the year.
Oh,
defensive rookie of the year.
Oh,
you know what? Well, I'm in. We'll figure out what we're putting on the line here. But I'm in on this bet.
No, we'll figure out right now.
All right.
Right now on the show.
All right. If he
drama.
Hey, okay. Who is a player that you have higher than him?
I got 22 players higher than him. So
Well, name one.
21, because
Name
you
one
said he was
player.
ranked 22.
Oh, okay.
Here, how
21
about
players.
this?
Excuse me.
If he doesn't win defensive player of the year, I will buy a Jermaine Johnson jersey. But if he does, then you have to buy a Nakobi Dean jersey.
All right. I'll do that.
Are we doing Jermaine Johnson versus Nakobi Dean, or Nakobi Dean versus the rest of the league?
Versus the rest of the league.
He's that confident.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
There we go.
Deal.
You guys got it right there on the show. Very interesting. Nakobi Dean, I think he's another one of those intangible guys that I like a lot. Really intelligent, good lateral quickness, and a really good tackler. The one question I have with him is I don't know where the best spot is for him at the next level, just because he's too small to cover the elite tight ends. I don't think he's quick enough to, do zone coverage over the middle against a slot receiver. I don't know if he's big enough to tackle the Derrick Henrys. I don't know. I've just got a lot of questions with the size athleticism combination. I think overall, though, he's still going to be a really good player, and I'd definitely be willing to take him in the first round.
I see him in New England. I think that is his best chance to succeed with Bill Belichick, and because Bill Belichick is phenomenal with developing his linebackers, and that's where I think he could succeed the best.
Yeah, I think if Nakobi Dean just proves at the next level that he's one of the best tacklers coming out of college football, then he'll be fine, especially in the run game.
Absolutely.
I do worry a little bit about the guys like Derrick Henry and even like a Jonathan Taylor. I think there could be times where maybe his size goes against him in those matchups. So I'd definitely be interested to see what he does.
In all fairness, it doesn't matter how big you are. Everybody is mismatched going against Derrick Henry.
Nope, not Logan Wilson. He shut him down in the playoffs.
God,
look at it. Go watch
he's
it.
coming off a broken
Divine
foot.
Diablo.
Not Divine Diablo.
Ooh.
All-star linebacker. All pro.
Wasn't he a safety coming out last year?
Yeah.
All right, nice transition.
Abram to safety. Abrams can't cover.
All right, last pick here for you, Landon. Who do you got?
I said in my mock draft episode that I would be going with a guy from Michigan, but I was thinking about one of the guys that you guys said who one of you was very highly on, and the other guy in the same team, running back, one of us, or I believe you were the James Cook guy, correct?
Absolutely.
And that is why James Cook is who I'm going to be taking here, because he is 10,000 times better than Zamir White.
I mean, you could have went with a better Georgia running back than Zamir White, but you can do James Cook. That's fine. That's cute.
He's an amazing third down back. I mean, if he could play wide receiver, in my opinion, he is route running to play wide receiver. He can catch the ball. And the only thing that does bring him down for me is his size. But when you're a third down back, it's not necessarily the biggest thing when you're running routes out there. And a big team that I think could potentially get this guy to protect their running back room is the Steelers. Because as we see, Najee Harris will not last with all the workload he got last year. So if you take James Cook in the 3rd or 4th round as a Steeler, he can be saving Najee Harris for another good 4 years, and I think that could potentially make a deadly running back room where Mitchell Trubisky could potentially succeed with that third down back.
I want to see Najee get the ball as much as possible because I love Najee. So I don't want this to happen, but I hear you out there. But my only thing, I'm not like a James Cook hater by any means. I think he has a really nice third down pass catching set. Or skill set. I think that's it though. I don't really know how much.
Hello, bozo.
I don't really know how many carries he's going to warrant in the NFL. I don't. If he is a guy that gets 70 carries a year, that's about 4 carries pretty much per game. That's that's fine, and I think that's kind of where he's going to be. He'll have that on top of 40 catches as well, and it's a nice player to have. But it minimizes the impact for me, which is my only issue. I don't ever see him becoming a guy that I would really want to hand the ball off to 10 to 15 times a game.
Yeah, I think he's a more talented J.D. McKissick. Like, this is a guy that you're going to want to use heavily in the pass game. And I wouldn't be shocked if a team loves everything about him if they want to convert him to a slot receiver or something. Mm-hmm. So I really like James Cook. I think you talked about it earlier on, Chase, when we were talking about Bailey Zappy, that he was, good in everything, but he was not elite in anything. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can be tough. James Cook, is he elite at everything? Absolutely not. That's why he's nowhere near the top of the round or the top of the draft, first round, second round. But he is elite in something, and that's pass catching out of the backfield. So I really like James Cook, and I think as a fantasy weapon, he's going to be good. Going to definitely want to take a flyer on him. I think that Steelers situation could make a lot of sense, but I've got Najee Harris, so I don't necessarily want that. But yeah, I mean, I like James Cook a lot, and I definitely see why you're planting your flag in him.
Yep, absolutely.
Should I go the other Georgia running back here?
Oh boy,
I got him on my list, but I do not have him in my top 5, and none of my 5 have went.
Okay.
Hinted towards this earlier, Mike, when you started talking about my guy, Zach Tom, offensive lineman. You were starting to go on a little bit about him, and I'm just going to kind of carry off from where you led. As you talked about, he is just this versatile dude. And my only issue with him is I don't know if he's ever going to be elite, but I think he is going to be the type of guy that gets a second and third contract. And if you can get that out of an offensive lineman, someone who is a quality starter the whole time, it's a home run draft pick no matter where you draft him. If you take that guy first overall and you get that type of longevity, that's a home run draft pick. And I think that's what you're getting out of Zach Tom, a guy who he can move around the offensive line. He can play left tackle, guard, center, or right tackle. He can do everything. Whatever you need him to do, he's going to do it just fine. He's going to execute it well, and he's going to be good enough where he's going to get multiple contracts. Never getting the highest paid player, never will be, a top 5 tackle, top 5 center, top 5 guard, but it's just an offensive lineman. He's always going to be regarded as one of just those guys that are just too sturdy and reliable to not trust.
He's very intelligent. That's what I like about him. He knows his surroundings and he knows how to play the game of football and he knows what to do to adjust. That is very important when it comes to the offensive line because you have to react to what the defenders are doing. And another thing I like about him is he throws quick hands. He throws them up quick and he drives, and that's what I love about him. A big thing with offensive linemen is having your quick hands, and I definitely think that he does have that. And he has very good pass protection, which as I mentioned before, I am big on pass protection.
Because of all the hate for Alex with Leatherwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I agree with everything that was said. I mean, this is a guy who's going to come in, be able to start for you, no matter where you need help on the offensive line. I think he's a day one starter. But I agree. The ceiling isn't necessarily there. I think he'll be a top half of the league offensive lineman, but will he be a top 5 guy? I don't think so. I just
got to say, what if he came in and being like a 3rd round pick and had a Creed Humphrey type of impact?
To the Bengals? I would love that.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
To
the Lions, baby.
Raiders will take him with their first pick. That's a good thing about this year's draft is I can't get mad.
You can't.
I can't get mad.
The Raiders aren't going to screw up another first-round pick. They can't.
We can't.
It's great.
But somehow we will. Somehow we will.
You guys are going to trade up. We're going to trade Derek Carr for the 6th overall pick just to take
Carson Strong.
Carson Strong. There you go.
Sam Howell.
No. I'll take Sam Howell over Carson Strong, that's for sure.
Well, that's where you're wrong, silly.
All right, well, let's end it off with my last guy here. The whole time I've been going guys who are more, intangible based. This one, I'm going to go with a player that is not necessarily known for that, but maybe known more for just, skill or upside. So I'm curious, what do you guys want me to go? You want me to go the first rounder, or you want me to go the guy who potentially could be, 3rd, 4th round?
First round.
I'm going to say 3rd, 4th round. Might as well just do both. Why not?
Okay.
You can have 6.
I'll run through it real quick. So first rounder, Garrett Wilson. I love this guy. He's my wide receiver one. Incredible talent. The route running and just everything that he does on film, absolutely love it. Now, 3rd, 4th round, Jelani Woods, tight end out of Virginia Tech. That's a guy who his upside is so tremendous. His size and his athleticism and the fact that he was a quarterback before. Chase, I don't know how you don't love him.
He's on my list.
These are 2 guys that I absolutely can't wait for, and I think that Garrett Wilson absolutely going to have success. Jelani Woods, I think it's possible that he doesn't, but this is a guy that has such high potential and is a guy who's got such a good story that I'm so willing to plant my flag into him.
So there's a couple guys that I didn't mention. One of them was Jelani Woods. Another former quarterback, Troy Anderson. Look at that. Love the former QBs. They're just the smartest players on the field.
They really are.
This guy was the quarterback at Virginia a couple years ago, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember watching that Sugar Bowl game. I believe it was with Florida.
Jelani Woods, what a beauty.
Now he is a tight end.
Yeah.
6'7", ran a 4.61. I mean, this guy is an athlete through and through. He even has 34-inch arms. This guy should be able to catch everything. And he is I see a lot of Darren Waller with his quickness, but he's a bigger Darren Waller, in my opinion. I think that...
Go.
You got something to say, you can say it.
And he can split the seam.
And he's even a better blocker than Darren Waller, too, because he is actually a hell of a blocker.
Darren Waller's terrible.
Yeah, I know, but I still love him.
I know. Darren Waller's a wide receiver in my mind.
He is.
But another thing is he's very effective even after the catch. He can break tackles after the catch, which is very important. It's not just catching the ball; it's being able to extend the play after the ball, or after you catch the ball. Which is why one of the reasons you are so high on Garrett Wilson, because you told me that he does
phenomenal things that
not Treylon Burks, but
things that only Jamar Chase and Deebo Samuel and Cooper Kupp can do with the ball in his hands. An absolute playmaker. Sure.
Hunter Renfrow is a top 24 receiver in the league.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We're coming up on 50 minutes. Man.
Look at that.
What a great episode. It didn't even seem like it was that long, but
no.
That was a great episode. It is coming out on Wednesday. So if you are listening on release and you are super excited for the upcoming draft and you want more draft coverage, make sure to check out our mock draft that dropped on Monday, and make sure to check out the Locker Room's mock draft, which drops on Tuesday. So a lot of good football content to stay up to date with. Landon, go ahead, shout out your podcast. Where can they, what's the handle on Twitter? How can they follow you?
You can find me at the Locker Room _pod. It is capital T and capital R, or capital L and then a capital R. Kind of confusing there. Just had to get it out there. And then you can also find us at TikTok at the Locker Room _pod again. And then you can follow my Twitter at Landon.Mitchelson, and make sure you go watch that mock draft because it is going to be a good one for sure.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I'm so glad to have been on it, and I'm glad that you came on this show. So
yeah, I am very happy to be here. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for the invite.
absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for the show. We want to thank you. Oh, Chase, thanks for coming out too.
Yeah, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Wow, this was a real treat.
That's going to do it for this episode, though. We want to thank you so much for coming out and giving us a listen. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do, you can follow us on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. That's again on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. Also, we have a Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Those links will all be down in the description below. Landon, actually send me the links to your stuff too, and I can put them down in the description for this episode. So you can check out Landon's stuff there in the description as well. If you are listening on YouTube, if you could please give us a like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. We would really appreciate that. And if you want to put down there in the comments, who is your guy coming into this draft? Is there one player that you absolutely adore? Let us know down there in the comments. If you are listening on a podcast platform, if you could please give us a follow and a 5-star rating, we would absolutely love you for it. Thanks so much for coming out. And as always, we're not professionals.